All right, let's talk about wealth, but maybe not in the way you're used to. We're going to dive into a new way of thinking about it, one that has nothing to do with your bank account and absolutely everything to do with your most precious, non-renewable resource.
You know the old advice, right? Work harder, save more, and one day you'll be set. For our parents and grandparents, that was the gold standard. But let's be honest, in the world we live in now, with everything moving so fast, is that really a guaranteed path anymore? We gotta ask ourselves, is the old way enough?
In this quote, man, it just nails the huge shift that's happening. The new way to measure how well you're doing isn't just about stacking up cash. It's about having autonomy over your life. So the real question becomes, how good are you at multiplying your time?
This is the big idea right here. We're moving into an age where, yeah, saving money is important, of course, but saving minutes? That's becoming the real game changer. Every single minute you can claw back is an asset you can reinvest, and that might just be the most powerful asset you'll ever have.
Okay, so that brings us right to our first big topic, what's being called the hard work trap. We're about to break down exactly why the old model of just grinding harder and longer isn't necessarily the smartest way to get ahead anymore.
So, think of it like this. There are two roads you can take. Over on the left, you've got linear wealth. That's the classic path, right? Work for 40 years, put away 10%, and cross your fingers for a nice retirement. It's slow, it's predictable, but on the right, that's exponential wealth. And this is all about leverage. It's about using systems, technology, and other people's time to get results that grow way, way faster than the effort you put in.
And look, this is exactly why that whole hustle culture thing has a built-in limit. I mean, you can only work so many hours before you just completely burn out. And think about the opportunity cost. Every hour you spend grinding on one thing is an hour you're not spending learning a new skill or building something bigger. And at the end of the day, you can't just keep doubling your hours. It simply doesn't scale.
Now, let me be super clear. This is not a knock on hard work. Not at all. It's an argument against inefficient work. The real trap is putting in all that effort without a multiplier, without any leverage. That's what keeps you stuck in that dollar for an hour trade. The goal is to set things up so your effort keeps paying off, long after you've stopped working.
So, if leverage is the secret sauce, what's the one thing we're really trying to get more of? Well, that brings us right here to our next section, where we start to see time itself as the ultimate currency. So, what even is time wealth? It's way more than just having a few extra hours off. Think of it as an internal resource. It's having the autonomy to decide what you work on, the flexibility to design your days, and really, the foundation for what most of us would call genuine freedom.
Let's actually break this down side by side. Look, money is external. You can lose it, you can make it back. But time? Once you spend a minute, it is gone forever. But check out that last row, because this is key. Money buys you comfort, and comfort is great, we all want it. But time wealth, that buys you autonomy, the freedom to choose. That is the real prize.
If you remember one thing, let it be this. Financial wealth is awesome. It gives you security, options, comfort, super important. But time wealth gives you something that money can't always buy. Freedom from the clock. The freedom from having to constantly trade your life away to get that comfort.
Okay, so we know the goal is time wealth, but how in the world do you actually get there? Well, that leads us to the engine that makes this whole thing run, automation. This is where we get practical. This is the how-to for turning your minutes into assets that work for you.
And listen, when I say automation, I know your mind might jump to like factory robots or complex code, but it's way simpler than that. For our purposes, automation is any system that gets a task done without you having to manually do it every single time. It could be software, sure, but it could also be a simple checklist or even another person.
You can pretty much boil it down to three main buckets. First up, you've got digital automation. That's using software, AI, all that cool tech stuff. Second is process automation. This is just about creating smart, repeatable workflows for things you do all the time. And third, you have human automation, which is really just a fancy way of saying smart delegation. And here's the beautiful thing. It all starts with just 1 minute. The whole idea is that every single minute you save by automating something isn't just a minute you get to relax. It's a tiny asset. It's a piece of time capital that you can now reinvest into something else, learning something new, or building the next system.
All right, you see how the pieces are starting to fit together? Now we're going to talk about how to actually construct your own personal system for generating time wealth.
But to make any of this work, you gotta change how you think. It all starts with something called systems thinking. It's a total mindset shift.
It means you start looking at every single thing you do, and you ask the question, how can I build a process around this so it happens perfectly every time with as little of my direct involvement as possible?
And the good news is you don't have to build this stuff from scratch. There are amazing tools out there to help you. We're talking about things like Asana for managing projects, Zapier for connecting all your different apps together, AI like ChatGPT to do the heavy lifting, and even platforms like Upwork to find people you can delegate to. This is the toolkit for the modern age.
So let's zoom out. What's the end game here? What does this life actually feel like? Let's take a look at the ultimate goal, the time-wealth life.
Imagine this. A lifestyle where your income isn't chained to the hours you put in. Instead, your systems, your automations, your processes, your team, they're the ones generating wealth. And that frees you up. It frees up your time, your energy, your mind to pour into the things that actually make a life rich, your health, your relationships, and your own personal growth.
I mean, this quote just wraps it all up perfectly, right? It's about building assets that aren't just in the stock market, they're operational. They're systems that create value and solve problems 24/7, so you don't have to be on all the time.
So I want to leave you with a challenge. This doesn't have to be some huge, intimidating project. It starts small. So just think about your upcoming week. What's just one, small, annoying, repetitive task you do over and over again? What if you could automate it, delegate it, or just build a simple system for it? That's it. That's the first step.